The psychological archaeology shows us that the play instinct, since the very birth, is a witness of those ancient times and the testimony of the fact that the human species, as early as at its dawn, at the pre-human ape stage already, paradoxically, in order to survive, had to be a cheerful and amusing genre at all costs. It was like that for a long time, in evolutionary terms, almost to the present time. Only recently, just a few tens of thousands of years ago, our species suddenly left the path of the play strategy followed by the man the entire evolutionary history. What was the reason for this? What can be the reason for living the way that gave us such a phenomenal success in the world of nature? The answer will surprise some people, while others will find it a logical explanation of the present human condition. Well, several tens of thousands of years ago, the man left the best and the most appropriate path of a play strategy because he had already reached then the level of development in which he felt strong enough to give himself a status higher than the status of a cheerful being enjoying himself of so far. A simple everyday life and the fun was no longer enough for him. It's difficult to be absolutely sure what could have caused such a radical change in the understanding of oneself. It seems, however, that a capital, perhaps even a decisive role in the emergence of this disastrous direction in the long run could have been played by the school. Yes, the school. Yes. It was there at school that the man began to carelessly undercut the roots of the humanity. the, school, the school put an end to the free play of childhood and adolescence. And we already know for sure that only due to the play and due to the reflex of play, as opposite to the anxiety, the human psyche could develop so beautifully. The appearance of the school institution several thousand years ago, obviously not in the form known today, but nevertheless promoting the same principles as today, the principle of blocking the free playfulness of a child. This flagship institution of human civilization begins the era of the mental crisis of humanity. The epidemic of mental disorders that we deal with today is the aftermath of this event. Since tens of thousands of years, the mankind has not only stagnated in the evolution of the psyche, but it's becoming increasingly noticeable that our mental condition gradually declines. The mental weakness of the modern man, and I do not only mean the man of the 20th and the 21st century, or only the man of the modern era, but in general I mean the historical man, the man since the very origin of human civilization. His psychological weakness, deeper and deeper weakness, is the source of the tragedy of the entire history of his civilization. This history could not be other than tragic, since the foundation of the civilization was the denial of the most human nature of the man, which is the anti-anxiety play reflex. Suddenly, the fun has become a luxury reserved for the few. The access to it became the measure of life success long before money appeared. The question is, why the historic human civilization from the very beginning tried to make the fun and the play so difficult to access? Why to make it out of something so easily accessible during millions of years of the pre-civilization history? I'm writing the human civilization. I'm saying this in general terms. And after all, through all these thousands of years of its history, it's nobody else but specific people that had an impact on what this civilization was. The civilization, as a concept, enters the arena of the history only when the first historical figures emerge from the nameless crowd of prehistoric figures. As long as people were nameless, equal to each other, there was no civilization yet. Thus, civilization is a form of the appropriation of the history. And this appropriation could only be done by someone who had previously appropriated the land, the riches of the land, and even other people. And here we come to the answer to the question why the long era of the fun-loving man has ended and the man of civilization, the civilized man, has come, this so-called civilized man. Namely, the psychic factor of the pursuit of power, factor 3, ultimately overcame the factor of conviviality, being together and having fun, factor 2. These are animal factors, as I have already described this in my previous books. At the same time, during millions of years, it has been a factor of conviviality and playfulness rather than the factor of consciousness, factor 5, or a social role, factor 6, what automatically protected us from the anxiety. But an extremely sad thing happened tens of thousands of years ago. Being already beautifully equipped with the excellently developed consciousness, we chose not what is good in the animal nature, that's striving to be with others through the fun and the play, but we chose what is gloomy in the animal nature, that's striving for the power. After millions of years of the heyday of the human psyche, after we had lived almost safe from the anxiety, drawing from the animal playfulness, the first owners of history chose a different path for us. The way of hatred, aggression, power struggles, fights for fame, and the immortal glory of the victors. For these few paranoid ideas all mankind paid and continues to pay already several tens of thousands of years the price of gradually losing what was the best in us, the good we had inherited from the prehistoric time, namely goodness and love. Because goodness and love, not conquest, not wars, not trade, not hatred, not power, mean humanity. Well, but there is still, despite so many thousands of years that have passed, some vague memory of the golden age of mankind, a memory which echoes can be found in the ancient mythologies of all the peoples of the world. The prehistoric era, in which all people were brothers, when everybody was happy and played every day, and there was no property, and everybody helped each other to be happier. Everybody helped each other be happier and make more fun together. Echoes of this myth still flicker on the banners and in the cliches trying to convince the last naive that modern man is nobler and more valuable being than animals. But the truth about the man of human civilization is different. And yet, the golden age of mankind is not a myth. And yet, it's true that it lasted hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years. We have just proved it. Thank you.